hack this revolutionary technology and really understand how it all works.
Yeah, it's definitely fascinating, but can seem a bit mysterious, huh?
Totally.
Well, we're going to break it all down for you using excerpts from What is a Blockchain?
Mm-hmm.
It's by, the elusive Satoshi Nakamoto.
Oh, wow. Satoshi Nakamoto, the legendary creator of Bitcoin. We're going straight to the source, huh?
Exactly.
Okay, before we get into all the technical stuff, can you give us a simple way to think about what a blockchain is?
Sure. So imagine a digital ledger.
Okay.
It's like a shared record of transactions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's copied across tons of computers, a whole network of them. So each new transaction, you bundle it into a block,
Clock.
and that gets added to this chain. And that's what creates like a permanent and a verifiable history.
So it's like a digital record that just keeps growing, and it's really hard to mess with because
Right.
it's not all in one place,
That's
is it? Okay, so, but what makes this chain thing so special? Like, how's it different from just a regular database?
Well, the magic of blockchain is all in how it's structured.
Okay.
So each block, it has this unique code called a hash.
Hash?
It's like think of it like a digital fingerprint. It also has the hash of the previous block.
Okay.
So linking all these blocks, that's what makes a chain. And get this, if you change even one earlier block, it'll actually change the hashes all the way down the line.
Oh, wow.
So any tampering, it becomes super obvious.
So it's like a domino effect, right?
Exactly.
If you mess with one, the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
That's really clever.
It is.
So let's say, like, I wanted to buy you a coffee using Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through, like, how that would actually work?
Okay, so you'd have a Bitcoin wallet on your phone,
Yeah.
right? It's basically like a digital bank account.
Okay.
Each wallet, it's got two keys, a public key, think of it like your account number,
Mhm.
and a private key, that's your secret password. So to start the transaction, you'd send Bitcoin to my public key.
So I'm sending a message out to the whole network saying, like, hey, I want to send some Bitcoin to this address, right?
Yeah.
But who's making sure, that everything's legit? It can't just be a free-for-all, right?
No, you're right, it's not. That's where miners come in.
Miners.
So these are special computers on the network. They're all competing to solve like super complicated math problems.
Uh-huh.
And the first miner to solve the problem, they get to add the next block of transactions, including yours, to the blockchain.
Oh, so the miners are like puzzle-solving referees. They make sure that that only the right transactions get onto the blockchain.
Exactly.
And they get rewarded with Bitcoin for doing that, right? Freshly minted Bitcoin.
Exactly. That's called proof of work. It's a super important part of keeping Bitcoin secure
Okay.
because those math problems, they take a lot of computer power, right?
Right.
So it makes it basically impossible for any one person to control most of the network and like mess with transactions.
So it sounds like this decentralization thing is a big deal for blockchain. Like no one person is in control, which means it's harder to censor it or manipulate it.
Totally. It's a system where everyone has access to all the same information and everyone can participate in reaching a consensus.
Okay, speaking of consensus, how do all these miners, all over the world, how do they agree on which transactions are valid and in what order they should be added to the blockchain?
That's a great question. And that's really the heart of how this whole blockchain thing works.
Right.
It's all about consensus, everyone agreeing. In Bitcoin's proof of work system, the longest chain of blocks, the one showing the most computational work, is considered valid.
Okay.
But there are other ways to reach consensus, like proof of stake.
Right.
That prioritizes owning the cryptocurrency instead of just computing power.
So there's different ways to get everyone on the same page, and each one has its own pros and cons, right? But the main thing is to create a system where most people agree on what's happening on the blockchain.
We got it.
Okay, so this is starting to make sense, but is there like just one giant blockchain for every transaction that happens?
Not really. Bitcoin was the first, right?
Right.
And it's the most famous use of blockchain.
Yeah.
But it's just one example of a public blockchain.
Okay.
Think of a public blockchain like a big open market where anyone can join.
Oh, okay.
Like anyone can join the Bitcoin network, see all the transactions that have happened, and even become a miner.
Wow, that's kind of wild.
It is. But there's also something called a private blockchain.
Okay.
It's more like a private club. You
Right.
can only get in if you're invited.
So if a company wanted to use blockchain, let's say to manage their supply chain or something,
Right.
they could create a private blockchain where only like authorized people could see and verify those transactions.
Exactly.
Okay.
A private blockchain gives you more control and privacy, which, some applications need.
So we got public blockchains like Bitcoin, open to everybody, and private blockchains, the more exclusive ones. But it feels like we're just scratching the surface, you know? There's got to be more to blockchain than just keeping track of transactions, right?
Oh, you're absolutely right. Bitcoin, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole ecosystem of blockchain applications and all these innovations that are like evolving so fast, way beyond just cryptocurrency.
Okay, I am definitely ready to explore the rest of that iceberg, but I think we'll have to save that for part 2 of our deep dive. Okay, welcome back to our blockchain adventure. So last time we kind of hinted that Bitcoin is just like the tip of the iceberg,
Exactly.
and I'm ready to explore the rest of this blockchain ocean. So where do we go from here?
We talked about Litecoin a bit before, right?
Yeah.
It's got faster transactions than Bitcoin, so it's a good example of how these different blockchain projects, they can branch out and innovate.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned something about like a different hashing algorithm. Right.
And that's what makes it faster.
Yeah. So Litecoin uses something called script.
Is script.
And it's designed to be more memory intensive.
Okay.
So like think about it. Bitcoin's hashing algorithm, it's like solving a really hard Sudoku puzzle.
Okay.
But with Litecoin, it's like memorizing a long poem.
Ah. Yeah.
They're both, challenging, but in totally different ways.
So it's not just about raw power, like how strong your computer is with Litecoin.
Right.
It's more about using the memory really well.
Exactly.
So does that mean that that special mining hardware, like those ASICs,
Right.
they use those a lot for Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
But they wouldn't be as good for Litecoin.
You got it. Script, it kind of levels the playing field.
That's
So
what I'm
more
saying.
people can mine with just regular computers. But that also means that Litecoin might be a bit more vulnerable to like botnet attacks,
Oh, okay.
They can use lots of memory from different computers.
So there's a trade-off then.
Right.
Faster transactions, more people can get involved, but then there might be a higher risk of certain attacks.
Exactly.
So it's like a balancing act always with blockchain.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why it's so cool to see like how different projects tackle these problems.
Right.
Speaking of different approaches, let's talk about Ripple.
Okay, Ripple, yeah.
It seems to be going after a completely different market than Bitcoin.
Right. It's aiming to like streamline payments,
That's
right?
what it's saying.
Between banks like internationally and big financial institutions.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they're playing a whole different game.
In a way, yeah. Ripple, it uses a distributed ledger technology,
Okay.
kind of like blockchain, but there are some key differences.
Okay.
For one, it doesn't use that energy intensive proof of work system.
Oh, right, proof of work. Remind me again, what's that?
It's how miners compete to solve those crazy math problems, to validate transactions, Right, to keep the network safe.
It's like a giant decentralized Sudoku competition.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Winner gets to add the next block to the chain.
I remember now. Yeah. So how does Ripple handle, getting everyone to agree, that consensus, without all that crazy math stuff?
So they use an algorithm where validators need to be pre-approved, like by Ripple itself.
Oh, okay.
So it's what they call a permission network, where you establish trust from the get-go.
So it's a bit more centralized then,
Right.
more controlled compared to Bitcoin's, open and decentralized network.
Yeah, exactly. And that helps with speed,
Right.
faster transactions, lower fees, and that's super important for big financial operations.
Makes sense.
But some people say that relying on those pre-approved validators, it kind of goes against the whole decentralization idea that blockchain was all about in the first place.
Right. So it's like choosing between a big open market or a really well-run bank.
Yeah, perfect analogy.
It really shows how many different ways you can use blockchain. Each project, they tweak the tech to fit, to fit their goals.
Okay, so we've got Litecoin, all about speed and accessibility,
Yeah.
and then Ripple, trying to revolutionize international finance. But I really want to dive into Ethereum and those smart contracts.
Oh, yes, Ethereum, often called the world computer.
Okay, the world computer.
It lets developers build and deploy these self-executing agreements.
Can you Give me a real world example, like
Yeah.
something that's not, just a basic explanation.
Sure. Imagine a decentralized insurance platform
Okay.
built on Ethereum.
Okay.
You buy, let's say, flight insurance using a smart contract.
Okay.
This contract, it's constantly checking the status of your flight,
Okay.
gets data from, reliable sources.
Right.
And if your flight gets delayed or, canceled, the contract automatically pays you
Nay.
immediately, sends it straight to your account. No need to file claims or deal with, all that bureaucracy. That's amazing. So the contract, it's like it enforces itself.
Exactly.
Make sure everything's transparent and it just does what it's supposed to do.
Right. And it's just one example.
Wow.
Smart contracts could change everything. Supply chains, voting systems, even the music industry.
It seems like this technology could like fundamentally change how we trust each other online.
Yeah, it definitely has the potential. And that's what's so exciting.
Right.
This whole space, it's constantly evolving with new innovations and possibilities popping up all the time.
It feels like we've only just begun to like scratch the surface of what blockchain can do. I'm ready to dive even deeper into this rabbit hole.
Okay, we're back for the final part of our blockchain deep dive.
Okay.
So we've gone over how it works, the basics.
Right.
We've looked at Litecoin, Ripple. We even got a glimpse of those smart contracts on Ethereum. What else is there to uncover in this blockchain universe? Well, it's super exciting to talk about all the tech stuff and what it could do, right?
Yeah.
But we also got to think about the bigger picture. Like, how's blockchain going to affect society?
Yeah, that's a good point. Any powerful technology, it comes with its own challenges, right? Things we might not even see coming. So what are some of those big societal impacts we should be thinking about as blockchain becomes more popular?
One of the biggest things could be how it shakes up those traditional power structures.
Oh, okay.
Because blockchain is decentralized, right? It
Right.
could really disrupt industries and institutions that have always been about centralized control.
So like think about finance, right?
Exactly.
Governments, even supply chains.
Yeah, all of that. So instead of relying on banks to do transactions or governments to keep records, blockchain could give that power to individuals and communities.
So it's like instead of trust us, it's trust the system. Yeah.
Exactly. It could make things more transparent, hold people accountable. But it also brings up questions about like governance and regulations in a decentralized world.
Yeah, like who makes the rules then? How do you make sure things are fair and safe?
That's the million-dollar question.
It's like the Wild West, but for technology.
Uh-huh. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Exciting, full of potential, but also kind of scary and unpredictable.
Right. And like with any new frontier, there's going to be winners and losers as things change.
Mm-hmm.
One worry is jobs.
Oh, yeah.
As smart contracts and all those blockchain solutions, they automate more and more, some jobs might just disappear.
So while blockchain might create some new jobs and whole new industries, it could also push people out of their old jobs.
That's a real concern, and we gotta address it head on.
Yeah.
It's not about being afraid of technology, right?
Right.
It's about adapting to how things are changing and making sure people have the skills they need to thrive in this new world.
It's like the Industrial Revolution, but happening again.
Exactly.
We got to make sure that everyone benefits from blockchain and that everybody has a chance to be a part of it.
Right, and that brings up another super important thing: accessibility.
Right.
If we want blockchain to really live up to its potential and benefit everyone, it's got to be accessible to everyone, no matter how tech savvy they are or how much money they have.
Yeah, I can see how blockchain could actually make the digital divide even worse.
Right.
If we're not careful,
Exactly. The people who already have the knowledge and the resources, they benefit the most, and everyone else gets left behind.
Right.
So we gotta focus on education and making it easy for everyone to understand and use.
It's about empowering people, not just the tech experts.
Exactly. We gotta make sure this is for everybody.
So as we explore this new territory, it's really important to talk openly and honestly about both the good and the bad of blockchain.
I agree.
We got to be excited about its potential, but also think critically about it.
Right.
Realize that technology, it's not a magic solution. It's a tool, and it can be used for good or bad.
A very powerful tool.
Yeah. So it's about finding that balance, right? Embracing the potential, but also Also, being aware of the risks. We need to make sure this technology serves us, not the other way around.
Well said. It's about shaping a future where blockchain empowers people, makes communities stronger, and helps us create a more fair and sustainable world.
Wow, this has been amazing. We started with the basics, and now we're talking about how it could change the world. It's clear that blockchain has the power to really reshape everything we know.
It definitely does, and it's up to all of us to make sure those changes are for the better.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage everyone listening to keep learning about blockchain, keep asking questions, and be a part of this conversation.
Yeah, keep that curiosity
It's
alive.
such a fascinating and fast-moving field. It's going to shape our future, that's for sure.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So keep asking questions, challenge those assumptions, and stay curious. This blockchain world is full of possibilities just waiting for you to dive in.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep diving deep.